Right now, we have on the phone Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider ESPN Denver, senior writer, footballguys.com. Cecil, how we doing?
I am doing good today, although I must say I had to work out for about an hour and step away from Twitter. I hope nothing in that hour.
Cecil, you have been a man on a mission since the draft. I'm glad you got a little bit of a break just now, but Cecil, what's the latest and greatest on Peyton?
Yeah, Peyton Manning, the options continue to expand. Who would have thought this going into last night? You know, you heard reports, okay, maybe the Dolphins get something in here on Monday. Maybe they don't. It may be down to just Denver and Arizona. Now, Houston has thrown their hat in the ring. Tennessee and Bud Adams saying, I want Peyton Manning. Everyone around here knows that that's what I want. So the Titans trying to make a move to bring him back to Tennessee where he played college football. The Texans saying, well, wait a second, if they're going to do it, we can do it. And, you know, these teams are going out there looking at this Hall of Famer who, by the way, did throw when he was here in Colorado. Now, he didn't throw at the Broncos facility at Dove Valley, but he did throw at a small park in Castle Rock, south of Denver, with former Colts teammate and former Bronco, Brandon Stokely, who still lives here in the Mile High City. So he did throw. Stokely said he was throwing 50 yards, looked good. So, you know, hey, maybe it is an actual healthy Peyton Manning. And if that's the case, then the Texans, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Broncos, they're all going to want this guy bad.
Well, Cecil, now, free agency kicks off at 1 o'clock our time, 2 o'clock your time tomorrow. Now, it seems, based on these new highlights, that Peyton Manning won't make a decision until probably later in the week. Now, by all accounts, this seems to work out great for Denver, seeing how Arizona owes Kevin Kolb some money. Titans have a lot of money stacked up in the quarterback position already with Hasselbeck and Locker. And the Texans just released their best lineman, right tackle Eric Winston. So is Denver still sitting the best out of the group? Or who do you see in this horse race?
Well, in the salary cap world, as far as cap space is concerned, there's only one team that's better off by about $5 million than the Denver Broncos, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals, and they don't want anything to do with Peyton Manning. They've got Andy Dalton. They're moving forward. They haven't thrown their hat in the ring, and they won't throw their hat in the ring. So as far as cap space is concerned, yes, the Broncos are in the driver's seat, and there's no one even really close to what they can spend. You know, KC wanted to be in the mix, but Manning denied them a visit. But they're still like $10 million behind what the Broncos are in terms of cap space and cash available to spend this season. Broncos sitting pretty with about $45 million to spend. It really is quite the chunk of change. Maybe half of that goes to Peyton Manning. We don't know. But definitely the Broncos are in the driver's seat, whereas that is concerned. But as far as the teams that are closest, Frisco's been thrown into the mix here, too, because the Alex Smith deal, not exactly done, so maybe Frisco. But the Texans, really, with Arian Foster, with Andre Johnson, with that defense, hey, maybe by getting Manning, they're able to give a sweetheart hometown discount with Mario Williams, keep him around. Either way, they got Brooks Reed behind him. But my point is, they've got the defense, they've got the ground game, they've got one of the best receivers in the National Football League. They are so very close. I mean, you would almost pencil in Houston to the Super Bowl if, in fact, they were able to get Peyton Manning. So it comes down to more than just money. It comes down to fit. You're seeing these visits now with Joe Philbin, the Dolphins head coach. It's going to be off-site, outside of the facility, and it's not going to be the red carpet treatment like how Arizona did it. Broncos did it, just basic football. They brought him in, didn't have the pomp and circumstance, not quite the paparazzi that when he initially left Indianapolis and just went home to South Beach. So the Broncos did it more of a football style, if you will, where it wasn't all the flash and the red carpet the way the Cardinals did. Now with Philbin meeting with Munchak, meeting with Manning as well, these are going to be off-site visits just to look at the playbook, just to get kind of a feel. Manning really wants to win a Super Bowl. This isn't, hey, I'll just extend my career, I'll keep playing, I'll get a bunch of money. He's got all the money in the world. He's got such a personality that he's going to be great in the booth. He'd be great as a coach. You put him on Saturday Night Live, whatever the guy does, it's going to turn to gold. So it's not necessarily about the money. It's more about the fit. And if I look at these teams interested, Frisco, yeah, they're a little bit more of an outsider than I think, but I think the Texans are the best fit for Peyton Manning.
Now, I think that's a great point you touched on. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He's still an elite quarterback in this league. If he can stay healthy, that remains to be seen. But it looks like everything's all there. All the tools that he had once before, he hasn't skipped a beat. And my biggest question is, what is the best fit for Manning? Because the Texans, that sounds ideal. Miami sounds ideal. Denver, in my opinion, does not sound like the greatest place for Manning to go. Now, with that being said, he has a good core there. They have a great defense. They can run the football. He has a decent O-line. And you add a playmaker like Reggie Wayne who would love to go back and play with him. Why? Now, please tell me, this is what I want to know. Why is it not a fit for Denver? And not in terms of money, but just in terms of winning a Super Bowl. Is Denver the spot to win the Super Bowl with Manning?
Well, we know this with Peyton Manning, and current Colts and former Colts teammates of his have told me he's a little difficult to get along with. He's kind of a perfectionist. That's kind of the unspoken truth about Manning. I'm not going to call him a bad teammate, but he certainly is difficult to get along with because of the excellence that he strives for, the perfection that he demands from himself and from his teammates. As far as Denver's fit, how is John Fox going to feel when Peyton Manning keeps audibling out of run plays? We know John Fox is run, punt. That's his playbook, okay? And I know that the Broncos have said, hey, we'll adjust our playbook, we'll adjust our style. Every team's going to say that. Of course you would. It's Peyton Manning. Is that really the style? Is that really the imprint? You don't think of John Fox as this high-powered pass game, high-flying whatever. Reggie Wayne, not exactly what the Denver Broncos need in my opinion. I would like them to go get a Pierre Garçon because this team lacks speed. They lack speed defensively, and they lack speed offensively. Demaryius Thomas is a big target. He's fast in a straight line, but you need more than just that. Decker doesn't have the quickness, the separation skills. He's sure-handed as a slot guy, but he's not a number two. You bring in a Pierre Garçon, I think that makes a little bit more sense to me than does Reggie Wayne. You've still got that ground game. I say they make a move for Mike Tolbert. That probably comes down at 2:01 tomorrow, my time, in free agency. I think that could be their first move they make is to grab Mike Tolbert. So it's not an exact fit the way that, Houston's got a little bit more high-powered nature to their game. That seems like a better fit. Plus, if we look at the quarterback situation, it takes two. Ask the Chicago Bears last year. What happened when Jay Cutler goes down? Caleb Haney didn't do squat. Josh McCown can't do anything. Listen, you need two quarterbacks. So maybe by bringing in Manning, they could either get Yates to learn from him or maybe just sell Schaub on the fact that he could stick around. And in Denver, I know people, and listen, maybe it's not the greatest sports talk radio to be like, yeah, Tebow's going to stay. Because, the phone calls get fired up when you say Tebow's going to get bounced if Manning signs. But the honest truth is, the trade market isn't very hot for Tim Tebow, not whatsoever. Jacksonville doesn't want him, maybe New England, but you think Bill Belichick's going to give up a lot for this guy? It'd be his fourth quarterback with Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett. That's not going to happen. He's only making $1.5 million next year. I mean, it takes two quarterbacks. So maybe if he does decide he likes John Elway, that's the big key for the Denver Broncos. He likes John Fox. They will allow him to kind of be a little bit more pass-happy than John Fox is traditionally. Then, yeah, I think Tim Tebow sticks around, but that fit has to fit for Peyton Manning, and right now it seems like there's better options.
Yeah. Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider ESPN Denver, senior writer, footballguys.com. Cecil, staying on this Tebow, and we could talk for hours, just the name Tebow alone. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep it as compact as I can with my question. So what I'm saying is this not the perfect storm for John Elway? The only person on the free agent or even draft market that could replace Tim Tebow in Denver is a guy like Peyton Manning, where John Elway gets to have his prototypical quarterback, yet at the same time keep the Denver fans happy by keeping Tebow and allowing him to progress and learn and learn from not just a one Hall of Famer in himself, but a future one in Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, you put it right on the money, and thank goodness you have a sane point of view because there's so many fans or other members of the Denver media that just run wild with this thing. Like, Elway hates Tebow, and he never
It's absurd.
That's never the case. Yeah. That's not the case. John Elway wants Tebow to learn and progress and be better as a pocket passer. Now, what better than to learn from behind Peyton Manning? I know the next conversation is, Manning doesn't want to babysit Tebow. Okay, whatever, all right? These two would get along. He could teach him, and Tebow could learn from his work habits. And think of a defense What if you go up against the Broncos? You got to prepare for Pierre Garçon and Demaryius Thomas. Maybe they bring in Dallas Clark too, and Peyton Manning. And then, when they get to the goal line, you've got a wildcat package with Tim Tebow and Willis McGahee and Mike Tolbert. What are you going to do? How are you going to stop that?
That's absurd.
The Denver Broncos. And really, Elway, this is that perfect storm. I'm glad you used that term because there is one guy. You get Chad Henne off the free agent market and replace Tim Tebow. It's mutiny here in Denver, okay? That's not an upgrade. Even my guy, Josh Johnson, who I love, who is the target of the Denver Broncos in free agency, provided they don't get Manning, you replace him with Tim Tebow with Josh Johnson. You can't sell that to the fan base. You can't sell that to Tebow Nation. Even the most diehard Florida Gator chomp, tattooed up with the Gator on the back, even those guys who love Tim Tebow blindly and aren't really Broncos fans, but are Tebow fans, they could look at this and accept the fact that a healthy Peyton Manning is 10 times better than Tim Tebow? Something like that. So this is a perfect spot for John Elway to be in. There was a high-ranking official with the Broncos that texted me on Sunday night, so this last night, about this has to do more with Peyton Manning than it does with Tim Tebow. Those were his exact words. And that's what I've been spreading via Twitter, via the airwaves, via my podcast, what have you, is that this move it's because it's Peyton freaking Manning, not because Tim Tebow sucks. I mean, if we use that logic that Tebow sucks and that's why they want Manning, well, then I guess Jake Locker sucks, Matt Schaub sucks, Alex Smith,
TJ Yates.
Yeah, they all do.
Yeah, exactly. On and on down the line. The reality is the Broncos know that Peyton Manning is a better option for a Super Bowl run right now.
Absolutely.
Tebow could still be the future, and he could stay in Denver if Manning signs.
Now, one thing I do want to touch on, you, sir, have been one of the best keeping up to date with everything that's happening up to the second, while at the same time responding to every single fan that has a question for you. And I'm sure it gets monotonous. There's the same question over and over, and everyone wants to know about Tebow and why does John Elway hate Tim Tebow and all these things. But when it comes down to the root of it, John Elway is the guy that has been in the locker room with Tim Tebow, congratulating him as Tebow walks in the locker room every time after the game, win or lose. He's been the guy that's saying, I'm going to help Tim Tebow. So all this hate that everyone thinks Elway has for Tebow, that Elway's jealous of Tebow's fame, is ridiculous. And I want to confirm that is your same sentiment.
Yeah, definitely my same sentiment. And he worked with Tebow last year during training camp a bit. You'd see Elway break out the Under Armour and the Nike shorts and get on the cleats and get out there and throw with the kid. He was seen as a 3-year project when he was drafted. We're entering year 3 right now. Got to give him some time, okay? And I know, and I really want fans to step back and look. When you hear the Elway hates Tebow sucks commentary, is that coming from someone who has an agenda, either personally with Tim Tebow, as some in the Denver media do, to be honest, or is it someone who's just never liked his game and is uncomfortable with the fact that he can win even though he's ugly when he throws it? I mean, look at Bernie Kosar. That guy had ugly throwing motion. I try to propel this, and I thank you guys for your kind words, but I try to propel the talk as the team looks at things, because that's how I look at things as an evaluator. I don't look at things, I know my job is in sports radio and on TV and on the internet, etc., but my job is as an evaluator, not as a talking head. So, yeah, maybe it doesn't fire up the phone calls as much as saying, hey, Tebow sucks, call in right now. But guess what? I'm going to tell you honestly, I'm going to take the same approach that a team takes, nay, that the Denver Broncos are in fact taking right now. They don't think Tebow sucks. Elway does not hate Tim Tebow. They want him to succeed. They just know that Peyton Manning, obviously, if he's healthy, is an obvious better option.
Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider ESPN Denver, senior writer for footballguys.com. Cecil, I know you got to go. I know you got updates to tweet and to let everyone know what's going on. But before we let you go, again, you know how we have a very strong contingent of fans out in Denver. So for everyone not named Manning, who is on the Broncos short list of who you've heard they are interested in, not necessarily who consensus we want them to go after, like a Mario Williams, but who have you heard Denver has strong interest in free agency? Maybe give me your top 3 if you have it.
Yeah, Mike Tolbert should be one. And as I said, when free agency opens at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, At 2:01, Mike Tolbert gets a call. I mean, he just fits everything that John Fox wants, and that big fullback who can run, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. We know McGahee's, awesome, first 1,000-yard rusher since 2006, but he can't hold up, right? You need someone to complement him. I think Tolbert would be the first option. The second option, even though Baltimore's in an interesting situation because they're trying to get a deal done with Flacco, thanks to Mark Sanchez deal, that could further complicate things and allow more money to be involved for the Flacco deal. They don't have that much room. They really want to keep Jameel McClain, inside linebacker, who filled in for Ray Lewis last year for 5 games, called the defensive plays. He's a great player out of Syracuse, unheralded kid that is only getting better. He's a player on the rise. Broncos need a middle linebacker. Joe Mays didn't get it done. Jameel McClain would be my second option that I expect the Denver Broncos to make a hard run at. And even though, Peyton Manning could take a chunk out of that $45 million that they have in cap space, toss some more money at Jameel McClain. I don't think there's a dollar price that's too great for that guy. I really believe he's a star on the rise. My third guy, maybe more of a pipe dream. Certainly if they add Manning, it'll take the dollars away. But Brandon Carr, there's going to be some secondary additions. And whether that's Reggie Nelson by the Cincinnati Bengals, whether it's Brandon Merriweather coming over from the Bears at the safety spot, I expect the cornerback to be courted as well. Dwight Lowry, can't forget about Dwight Lowry from Jacksonville, who has familiarity with Jack Del Rio, of course, and Matt Ross, too. I think Matt Ross and Mike Tolbert are two of the biggest givens that will be Denver Broncos when free agency opens.
And then very quickly, there's so much to get to with this Denver team, but just very quickly, yes or no, does Denver re-sign Bunkley before free agency?
I guess the answer would be I hope so. I think it's yes, and there was one personnel director who told me that he may be the most talented 4-3 D tackle in all of free agency. So there's going to be a market. Don't let this guy hit the open market. They were considering placing the franchise tag on him. I say go ahead and get Bunkley his deal, but as you know, guys, we're running out of time.
All right, Cecil Lammey, thank you. Good friend of the show. Can't wait to hopefully hear from you next week. Hopefully we'll have a resolution to this Peyton watch. But yes. Cecil, until then, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And, try and get some rest out there.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Be good. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.